What is this? Is it a table? Well, hello again, everyone. Probably some of you vintage audio folks know what this is. I'll be honest, I had no idea what it was when I first seen it. Found this on Facebook Marketplace. It did catch my attention, just the way it's designed. I thought, what is some kind of a table? But no, it's a speaker. This is the RCA model 106. Similar to the smaller RCA speakers back in the day, the 100, the tabletop types. But this was, I guess you would say, their most expensive speaker, maybe. It was used on some of the high-end radios, which made it up to them. And it was used exclusively on the RCA Theremin, which was really a musical device. Didn't know about that either until I started doing some research on this speaker. But this was made in 1928 to 1930. I don't know how this one is. It does have a serial number on it. We'll get into that when we flip it around and look at the back side. This is called a Tapestry speaker. And yeah, we got some tires. Looks like the cat's been a hold of it there, maybe. Little tire at the top there on the side. But to be almost 100 years old, I guess we're lucky it's survived at all. When these were mated up with the Theremin device that RCA produced, but several more that was sold with their higher end radios, and don't have a number on that. I cannot find any information that says how many were sold, but several hundreds, maybe even a few thousand. So let's flip it around here and look at the back. And set it up on the workbench where it's easier for me to video. We do have a model number. There it is, RCA 106, and there's a serial number. It's like 260013. First thing I noticed when I looked at this, I think the back's on upside down, because we have this is an auxiliary electrical outlet right here, and you can't get to it. But if it was in this cutout, then that would make more sense. So I'm going to pull this back off where we can get a better look at the speaker. And we do have a broken piece here. That can easily be glued back like that. But see what I'm saying? I think that's the way it's supposed to be on. And it looks like the cone is in good shape. There are no holes punched in it, it doesn't look like. And there's that auxiliary outlet. The way this was designed, you plug your radio into this outlet, and then when you turn the switch on right here, that turned this outlet on along with the speaker. This speaker does need power to work. Here's the speaker input wires right here. And they run through this cloth with rayon wrapped cable. And then this is the AC, goes through this cable, and it routes up around here, up the side to that switch, and then over to this terminal and this terminal. So do notice we have a screw missing right here. Should be over there like that. So what are my plans for this? Made some inquiries online, and one of the Facebook groups, the radios and speakers from the 20s, a fellow named Bob, he gave me a great idea on what to do with this. I'm going to try it. We'll see if it works. His suggestion was to find some material that closely matches this, and then carefully cut out this motif. Now, some of it's pretty thin, but hopefully it'll stay together. But cut out this motif and glue it to the new cloth. Ordered some material that should be close to the color this is, but we're gonna try it. I'm gonna do some work on the cabinet too. She's pretty beat up. But we certainly can help it. It won't be perfect, but I think it'll look a lot better. It's just a piece of history that I just couldn't resist. I was afraid the folks would end up throwing it away, or I didn't want that to happen. Well, I've been doing some preliminary testing from what I figured out how to test anyway. These are disc rectifiers. We have two of them. Should have about 70 volts at least on the output of those rectifiers. I want to check this outlet to make sure it's working. So we'll turn the power switch on. And we have 120 down at the outlet. So let's hook the speaker up to an old radio and see what it sounds like. Here's our speaker input wires. And this is a Radiola 18 I've been working on. Just about to get it finished up. Need to do some cleaning, but it's working fine. So let's see if we get anything. We'll turn the speaker on. I think I've taken enough chances with this old cord. So looking here, goes across into this outlet. So let's pull this off and see how it's connected, because the rest of it is okay. The part that's in the radio, it looks good. So I think we can put a new cord on that matches that one. I think our best bet here is to attach right here, because you can see that's wrapped together where it runs on, and then it junctions here at this socket. So to make it simpler, I think we can just attach it here, hide it behind the socket. Here's with the cord I'll be using. Got these on Amazon, and they're an 8-foot called a lamp cord or a iron cord. Put it on an old iron, but you can see they look pretty similar to the old cord, just a little darker in color. Okay, then I'm going to put some cloth tape, wrap this all back like it was, like that, and cloth tape up to here, and we'll fasten it back down. All right, let's flip it back around and make sure everything still works. Turn the switch on. Outlet's working. All right, time to take things apart so we can start working on the cabinet and see if we can do something with that tapestry. And looking at the connections on this speaker, this is just the AC cord coming in, goes to these rectifiers. So that's easily unhooked, those two terminals. And then the speaker itself, the wires going to it connect right here. Just these two terminals. And then we have a tie wire right here that just ties to the speaker, holds that wire up, keeps pressure off of it. So let me get those unhooked and we'll see if we can get this speaker pulled out. Okay, we have two retainers. Had to loosen to pull this wire out of the way. Top. And next we'll pull the speaker out. And there's just 4 screws. But I'm going to lay this down to protect it while I take this speaker out. This should be safe. All right, I'd say that weighs probably 10 pounds maybe. And let's look at the cone. Now we got a series of screws. There's 3 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 screws total. And I think it all slide out together. Well, this accessory outlet was in the way, so 3 screws that held it on. So we got that down below the sides and the front. All right, I have all of the screws out and it does seem to be loose, but I'm going to have to get these wires out of the way. I think if I loosen that bracket, it's already loose. Loosen it some more. Let that wire fall down and then take off the on-off switch and the surround plate. It should let all the wires drop down to the bottom, and then that hopefully will slide out. Well, just removing the switch would have done the trick, but I've already taken this off and may put a little brasso on that, clean it up a little. Okay, let's see. Fits rather tight. Feels like it's binding right here. All right, now we're loosening up. We're getting close. I have to keep this in mind when I put this back in. This material is going to have to be trimmed right against the wood. It's going to be too tight. All right, there we go. There it is. It's almost 100 years of dirt. I'm just going to have to be careful when I trim this. Make sure that I get as close to the edge as possible without damaging the motif. I'll take lots of pictures with some measurements to know how far from the edge to set these and how far from the top, etc. That's a well-built, well-braced cabinet. Very strong to have these thin spindles. These back spindles are just cut in half, looks like, where the front ones have a groove in them for the side to fit in and the front to fit in. Maybe a mahogany. I think it was a lot lighter than what the finish is showing here now. Just aged and darkened. One coat of acetone on this very front piece and the top edge of it too. Now I'll clean it a little better than that with another coat, but I think that's going to be some nice looking wood. Notice one other thing. This corner block, this brace goes up through here. Look how it hangs over. This side too. Yeah, you don't notice that when the speaker's setting upright and you're looking down on it, but I thought that was kind of interesting that they let that block hang over, didn't worry about trimming it off. Well, on these spindles, I figured out the toothbrush works best. Can't do a whole lot at one time, but it'll certainly take that outer finish off. All right, this is the last part here on the very top. And just finishing up here, I got just a little bit here at the bottom. And this is working a lot faster than those spindles because I can just use a brush and go back and forth like I normally do. It runs down and eats into the finish as it runs down, so that helps it release too. All right, we are finished with the acetone. We're not ready to put any finish on this just yet. Of course, we need to wash it off with some soapy water. I don't think there's any sanding we need to do, but we see some places we may need to do some touch-up sanding. And I need to determine what I'm going to do on that piece of veneer that's missing. Problem I'm going to have, you can see the wood grain pattern in this veneer. I don't think I've got any that's going to blend in without someone saying, well, that's a piece of veneer that's been put in there. But I'm going to look at what I've got and see. Really decorative. I like that dental molding or whatever you want to call it at the top. And we got that rosette right in the center. And one thing I did find, there's a tag right there. And let me show you what that says. I wonder if this particular company made all of the 106 speaker cabinets. Now let's look at this Tapestry a little closer. I was able to find some RCA literature on this speaker. Had a schematic and had some troubleshooting instructions and even had a parts list. And this Tapestry was available when this speaker was new. You could order a new one. I guess if the kids knocked a hole in it or the cat scratched it real bad, you could replace this Tapestry. And it had instructions on how to do it. It said that you stretch it. It's all one piece, and it is. It wraps around the corner, across the front, back to that corner. But it said you attach it with tacks. And looking at these, I thought, well, them aren't tacks, them are staples. But yes, they're tacks. It's an old style tack. Try to get those tacks out. Whether I can reuse them or not, I doubt it. But I have a little battery operated stapler and that would work just as well. But there you can see a close up of that one. Got a part that goes down, a part that goes up, and that just drives in. I'm assuming both sides drive in. Now it may be just the center. Let me take one off here and look. Looks just like a staple. It was probably hammered in. That's why that's got that wide point in the center. I'm rambling on about something that really doesn't matter, but I thought that was interesting. It said use tacks. To me, that looks like a staple. But in 1928 or 29, whenever this was made, I guess that was what they called a tack. Doing some measuring here to make sure I get this motif back in the right position. And someone got their measurements off when they put this on. We're about 3.5 inches on this side. And we're less than 3 1/4, 3 1/8 really, on this side. I hadn't noticed that. Just looking at it, it looked like it was centered to me. That's going to do it for part 1 of the RCA Model 106 Speaker Restore. See you next time. We hope you've enjoyed the video. And if you did, how about giving us a like and subscribe to our channel? Thanks.